General body meeting. I am very excited for this meeting today, and I first want to try to get back to the table. So I just first want to say thank you to my committee members for making this happen, and then thank you to all of our guests that was able to take time out of the day to be here. So we're first going to start off by going over who we are and our purpose. Who we are the Community Advisory Board CAB on Public Safety Realignment, which was established by the Community Correction Partnership, CCP, Executive Committee to provide input on the community needs. Our purpose is to provide input and feedback to the county on the AB 109 realignment implementation. We advise the county considerations of the scope and impact of our justice system on individuals, their families, and our local community by providing input on community needs, assess the implementation of AB 109 public safety alignment, review data and outcomes, advise the CCP on engagement within the community, and we offer recommendations regarding programs, services, and funding opportunities. Now that we have covered who we are and our purpose, let's do some quick housekeeping. Okay, so some housekeeping items we will follow for those that are in the room and those that are on Zoom, and how to provide public comment. For those in the public, please keep your participation on mute. For those on the phone, on the public on Zoom. For those on the phone, use *6 to mute and unmute, and we'll hear comments first, always from our board members, as we go through items, and then we will open it up for public. We will now move on into our agenda item for today. On the screen. Okay, so our first agenda item is welcome introductions and announcements. We will first start with our community members. My name is Nicole Green, East County, acting as chair. I will go to my right.
My name is Rena Moore, I'm East County Secretary.
Jeffrey Robinson, 37 Central County.
I'm Renee Hurley, representing West County.
I'm Brendan Lee, representing West County.
Good morning, I'm Marcus Sawal, representing.
And community members on Zoom, thank you.
Justin Van Zerber, West County.
Thank you. We will now move to staff in the room first.
Hi, Patrice Guillory here from the Office of Reentry and Justice. And if I may, I'd like to introduce my staff here, as well as new staff that have joined the RJ. And Kimmy Aseo, who many of you have already mentioned, our planner evaluator, RJ, and our newest member of our team, Travis Grindle, who's also a planner evaluator. I was curious.
And for staff on Zoom.
Good morning. My name is Garyana Youngblood, Office of Reentry and Justice.
We will now move to our guests and community partners within the room.
Good morning, Cynthia Zavala, Program Manager with Center Force.
Welcome.
Good morning, Tracy Simpson. I am just a resident.
And moving to Zoom.
Good morning. My name is Alicia Simplar from Rubicon Programs, Community-Based Programs.
Welcome.
I'm Jamie Jeanette with Health, Housing, and Homeless Services under Contra Costa Health.
Janet Evans, Contra Costa Office of Education.
And Jill Ray, Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson.
Welcome, everyone. Sorry about that, Jill. I didn't see you down there. Welcome.
And I'm Jamie Schechter with Health, Housing, and Homeless Services as well.
Welcome, Jamie.
And I'm Cynthia Chase, Executive Director and co-founder of the Gemma Project.
Okay.
Susan Woodhouse, Public Defender's Office, DFO.
Can't tell, is that everybody?
Yeah, that's everybody.
Welcome. Okay, thank you for coming. Appreciate that. Now, we'll go ahead and move over to our announcements. I'll first start off with the announcement from the Office of Reentry and Justice, and I'll pass it over to Patrice.
Well, actually,
hello.
Oh, hey, Ariana.
All right. Yes, really quickly, we just have an announcement that as of October 1st, all advisory bodies are going to be moving to Legistar. So your agendas is going to look different. Where you're going to find them is going to look different. And the notifications you're going to receive them is going to look different. But the information that you do see on your agendas now is all going to look the same. It's just going to be in a different format. I have sent the subscribers list to the CAO's office, so we should all be good with that. But if you do have trouble, then you can subscribe to Legistar by clicking on this link. And then it should take you to the page, and at the top of the page, it asks for your email address, and you can just type it in and submit it.
It didn't move over to the page.
Oh, you didn't see all that?
No, it didn't go to the web.
And why she does it, I can give you some context. It's really friendly, when you go and sign up, and once you actually click on meetings that you're interested in, it actually sends you like an Outlook invite, then it add it onto it. So if you ever join any of like the AOD, Council of Congress, mental health, you'll be able to see all of the episodes. The one thing I do like about the site is all that we add reminders onto your calendar, so you'll be able to get updates and the
Yes.
structure. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is the website, and at the top of the page, it asks you for your email address. So if you're not receiving the notifications for the meetings, you can just type in your email address and then select the advisory bodies that you want to receive the notifications for, and then it should pop up. Patrice, do you have anything to add?
No, so the only thing I would add is that the clerk of the board is moving all advisory bodies, including all the standing committees of the board of supervisors, as well, and obviously the board of supervisors. So utilize this platform at your convenience. Obviously, you want to get notifications for the CAP meetings and the CCP meetings, but you may also want to receive notifications of other committee and commission meetings, such as Measure X, the AOD advisory committee. You might want to participate and see what's going on in the equity committee, of supervisors, or the public protections committee. So this is a helpful tool for you to see those agenda postings.
Yeah.
I do have a question. When once we're moved over, I haven't really played with the section. You know how on our webpage, when I was go back and look at previous meetings, it's a lot easier. I haven't really played with this, but it does help me find previous meetings. So I'm curious on that.
Actually, Garion, can you go back to the web page really quickly? We can walk you guys through that right now. There is a drop down selection where you can select the committee that you want to review prior agendas for. Now, everything that was the prior system or platform or current that you all are receiving agendas for come through a platform called the Agenda Center, operated through Civic Plus. So I'm not quite sure if anything prior to October 1st, how they would make the connection, not the tech person involved here. We're just trying to make sure we utilize the platform appropriately. We can get that answer from you. Oh,
Patrice, yeah, I do. Yeah, so when you go to the main page of the Board of Supervisors main page where it says meetings and agendas, Gariana, can you go back to that page? There's going to be two links, not the Board of Supervisors, the actual meeting and agenda page. Now you have to probably go all the way back out. Anyway, if you go into the main county page and you go to meetings and agendas, there's going to be two links. There's going to be current agendas, and then there's going to be past agendas. And so in past agendas will be all those agendas that are in the old system. You can still access all those.
Okay,
all the new, everything going forward, you'll be able to search through this system and the bottom bar that Gariana was talking about. So you will still, all those agendas are still accessible, just not through this site here.
So I know it might be hard to see. When you scroll down, where it says, all meetings. This is your drop-down selection for your various committees. Can you click on the drop-down options, Garyana? Oops. Scroll, right. I don't know what's happening.
Me either.
Okay, to the right of the search, box. Under all meetings? No, you were fine. No, go down, go down. Okay, right there. And then just slightly over, there is, right next to the search box.
I don't, this,
No,
list
no,
view?
to the right, to the right. Keep going, keep going.
I can't
Keep
see
going.
anything else to the right.
That's okay. Anyway, for those in the room at least, this is your Dropbox option. You select that and it will list down all of the various commissions and committees and what have you that you can select. You can select either this year, prior year, or whatever the case may be. You have an option to kind of fix your time period, and then it will list out all of the meetings, their times, any of their meetings. There you go. You got it. That's it.
I found it.
Yeah, but just to be clear, Patrice, that'll only be those meetings that are posted through this agenda at the point in time they start posting through this agenda. So the past meetings from the previous agenda system won't be here. They'll be on the front page under past meetings.
And also we will still have access to Agenda Center. Like those agendas will still be archived there for view or still accessible to the public, but we'll no longer be posting on Agenda Center.
Okay. All right, thank you. There's no questions. Well, I have a couple of announcements. I just wanted to make some pinpoints, especially for our OCEC committee. Completed an RC welcome home party event, first table, which was amazing, and was able to do some outreach. And then they just completed a presentation at the Alpha event at RC, which is really great. So it's starting an outreach to find individual lived experience to either if they don't want to be on the board, just get in the community and let folks know they can actually join the meeting and share their insight, because that's what we want to hear from, right? So trying to figure out how do we reach those that are actually utilizing the service and get them to start putting input. So really, do you want to add anything from the events that we participated in?
No, it's quite exciting and very interesting.
Yes. We got a lot of questions and about programming, and people were really excited about understanding what we were and what we do, how we attend the meetings. Yeah, the Zoom, and I like the fact that RSC, like if anyone wants to join, and they'll try to look at, for those that may have to travel, how they can assist those. And thank you, Mark, for short notice and presentation feedback. So I just wanted to point out the work they've been doing while we've been on break. Right. So I just wanted to point that, and then there's a couple of items that we will tackle a little bit later. I know you've seen emails from RJ, and we're down to few people at this table. So we all are aware that Ozzy stepped down, so you also stepped down from CAB. There's been some changes in reference to our structure here that we will discuss later on. So I just wanted to pin that here, and then we'll move on to the agenda. Are there any other announcements in the room from any guests or? Hi, I'm ready. Should I stand up, sit, and where you have everything?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Demetria Lawrence. I'm here from college. I also submitted an application to be part of the interviews today. But I wanted to share that at Contra Costa College, I have some flyers I can pass around to the group. We are part of a community college network called Rising Scholars. That is statewide California community college system to support formerly incarcerated in systems and captive students. As part of that network, we have a Bay Area consortium of community colleges, California State University, and the UCs. We meet with the Urban Strategy Council. They're one of our host partners and facilitators, and we have these regular partnership meetings to develop sort of a Bay Area system for these students. Out of that work, We've been doing this work since about 2017. We've been hosting convenings throughout the Bay Area, and so I'm really happy to announce that Contra Costa College will be hosting a basic convening in October. BASIC stands for Bay Area Systems Impacted Consortium. This is all volunteer work of these folks, educators and other allies, more formally incarcerated and systems impacted students. And so I wanted to invite members of the chapter to attend, share the information out. I'll be reaching out to Brenda about tabling, because we really want our students, practitioners at the college and those in the community to know more about what support is out there for the students and what the students. Thank you. Any other announcements in the room?
I'd like to share that the ORJ is really excited. We will be releasing a new RFP for a restorative justice youth violence prevention pilot project that will be dropping really, really soon. So far, we have held at least one info session, just trying to gather stakeholders and those who might be interested in applying for this opportunity. To have a chance to connect with each other and learn about our expectations and our intentions in rolling this out, and have an opportunity to network with each other in the event that they'd like to submit any sort of joint application. We'll have our second info session actually today from 2:30 to 4. It is virtual. So if you have not received our notifications where you can register to receive the Zoom link, just let me know and I'll make sure to get it to you right after this meeting. And this is a continuation of our work around developing a community-based restorative justice effort, which we are calling the Restorative Justice Initiative. This is our Measure X funding project, where we received one-time dollars to implement such a project. So we're really excited about it, and more work to come. Any other announcements?
Good morning, everyone.
No?
Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Is that better? Oh, okay. Good morning, Tiffany and I with the Reentry Success Center. I hope that you all are doing well. We're excited to announce that we are hosting a community activity night for our members on Wednesday, September 25th. The event will be from 4 to 7. We'll be having dinner, dessert, karaoke, raffles, and a lot of other games going on. If you have anyone who could benefit or would be interested, feel free to connect them to us. And my last announcement is that we are currently looking for 2 reentry coaches to add to our small dynamic team. So if you know anyone who would make a good fit, we're definitely looking for individuals with lived experience, looking to serve the community. Thank you.
Member announcements? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move to our next agenda item, which is public comment on any items under the jurisdiction of the Community Advisory Board and not on the agenda. None in the room and none on Zoom. Moving on to agenda item number 3, if you can please pull up page 5. Looking for approval of record of action on our June 13th, 2004 capstone meeting. Let's take a moment to review the agenda items, and then I'll be looking for a motion and for someone to second the motion. So I have Lena as a motion and Mark as a second. Ariana, can you take vote?
Nicole,
Aye.
Brenda,
Aye.
Rena Moore, Justin Van Zerber,
Aye.
Rena Hurley,
Aye.
Jeffrey Robinson, Jeffrey,
Aye.
Marcus Durrell.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, let's move forward to all the fun stuff. So we're gonna move over to agenda item number 5, which discuss CAP applications and memberships to be considered for approval by CCT. Before we jump into our new applicants, I just wanted to, as I mentioned before, touch on a few items for some adjustments that we're making to the committee. So as mentioned, we received notification a while ago around in reference to Ozzy stepping down from chair. And we lost Reverend Van Hook, and unfortunately, Latanya as well stepped down. I first want to acknowledge all the hard work that they've done and will continue to move forward with. So because of that, we need to make some votes. So when Ozzy stepped down as being vice chair, I did step in to act as interim chair. I am willing to continue at working as chair, but I do want to give opportunity for anyone else on the board that may also want to step into that position to have that opportunity. If not, I'm willing to continue pushing forward and guiding us through the remainder of the year. So we'll have to vote on, I do it one by one, or can I just do a whole recap first?
One by one of what?
My explanation, can I just give a whole recap first? Sure. So we would definitely have to vote on that. And if I move into that role, that will be from the chair and policy and budget. So Justin has been willing to step up into that role as the chair of policy and budget if I am going into chair of CAP, which will also make him the vice chair. As the chair of policy and budget is also the vice chair. Raina also is going to step up and be the chair for programs and services with support from SFRJ. And Mark is willing to step in to be the interim chair for OCBC, as we do have standing members that may also want to step into that role. So again, I want to open up for anybody else that may want to take on the role, because I don't want to assume that no one does it. And then based on what we decide, we'll have to vote in the chair, the vice chair, and I don't believe we have to vote in for OCBC programs and services.
No, I don't believe so. No, for programs and services, yes.
Yeah, so we'll have to vote for programs and services, vice chair, and then the new chair. So I wanted to open up for discussion and see if there was anybody else on the board that is interested in being chair. Yeah.
So,
Oh, so you
so
want?
no.
Oh, I was like, no. Rock, paper, scissors.
Not interested, but just want to just a point of clarification for our body that what is for the CAP? Like how many people do we have to have present for this CAP? And what my concern is I want to make sure that we have quorum, because I know we have so much online. And, you know, my understanding that to join online, you have to, that there are exceptions that can be made, and if you be counted as a quorum, I think that we need to make sure that we actually have established quorum for this meeting, so that the actions that we take are.
Yeah, so we do have a form for today's meeting. We were able to thankfully post Justin's location, so it was publicly noticed. So if in the event anyone else would like to, or a member of the public would like to join where he is able to, that is able to, that allows for us to have quorum for today's meeting. So typically, you're right, we would monitor when someone is joining via Zoom for whether or not they are fulfilling the just cause and also emergency sort of classification, remote joining into a meeting, but for the purposes of establishing quorum, if we do have other members that are essentially, you know, are remote and are not able to join physically, we can then publicly notice their physical location, should they be able to make it available for a member of the public to join. So in that case, we do not.
Thank you, and I think it was important for us to share that so it's publicly known. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for that, because I just feel, so that, I'm glad that was a question that you asked brought up. I welcome the room to bring up any of those questions, because I probably won't get one. So if there's anything that's concerning you or not just concerning, but you will need to know as we also do have new members. Definitely bring it up. There's no question, there's no wrong question. If I don't know the answer, I'll. Any other questions, feedback? No other takers? You're sure? Okay. Well, it's saying that, so Gary, I'll be able to go ahead and take vote to get that out of the call a motion. So I'd like to call a motion to, move Nicole Green into the chair position of CAB, Justin Van Zerber into vice chair, and then, Randy Moore into the chair for, programs and services. So I'm looking for a motion and then a, second.
I'm just gonna say.
Did you motion?
No, that's what happened. I said,
Oh, no, I sound like, oh, I probably did. I'm looking for a motion in a second.
I figured that from West County, make this motion.
Thank you.
And I just from Central County second.
Thank you. So Brenda made a motion and Jeffrey made a second. You know, I talk a million miles per hour. Sometimes it just come together, so. Gary, I to take vote.
Okay, I have a motion by Brenda and a second by Jeffrey. Nicole,
Aye.
Brenda,
Aye.
Raina Moore,
Aye.
Justin Van Zerber,
Aye.
Raina Hurley,
Aye.
Jeffrey Robinson, Marcus DeWall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, thank you. So I just wanted to make some key point now that I've been voted in, some goals in reference to CAB and what I like to work towards. I did reach out to some of you guys individually to kind of talk about it. I heard from each of you what you need in reference to support and more understanding from CAB. So I really want to continue that and focus on that. I'll be checking in with you if you don't mind. That's just me every month, just kind of see if you need anything. If you do, just let me know. But I really wanted to, I heard your feedback. And so the goal moving forward is I want to get your input on it, is really focus on the items that we worked on and achieved. We have a lot of new members coming, so it's getting them up to speed on what we've done so far. We have a lot of recommendations that we move forward and new work that's coming down the plate. So trying to focus on those particular items and maybe put a hold on some of the new stuff in reference to like the Facebook and all those things, and really focusing on the things that are coming down the line with the recommendation from the access funding regarding the housing and post release, because there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done in programs and services, as well as work in reference to OCEC. So for the remainder of the year is trying to get us back focused, making sure that everyone understands what CAB is, what we've done to feel a part of CAB, and ensuring that I hope you guys also understand what our goals are. So there's another part of it we'll talk about in reference to working with OCEC and figuring out how to get everybody orientated. New members have brought up key questions that we don't think about a lot when we get new members. We've been here for a while and understand where we are, but the new members usually don't. So I want to make sure everyone feels a part of that. So that is we have a big agenda. That's a rough estimate of what I would like to do as chair. So any questions? All right, today. All right. So we're going to move right along to our CAB nomination. So, Ariana, can you put that back on the screen for me? Page.
What page?
That's page 9, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to kind of bring this up to show our membership outline and where we are. I'm very excited though that we have quite a few people here today that have applied for a CAB. We also had 2 other individuals, which Tiffany is here and Alexandria, that we had already reviewed and approved to move forward to CCP. So then we'll have those 2, and then we have 4 here. So this kind of outlines our seats that we have. So before I jump into breaking that down, I want to first go to the members. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I want to first acknowledge the individuals that are here and on Zoom and kind of go through each applicant and allow them to speak, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail in reference to the seats that we have available and what action we have to take as a committee. So Rolanda, could not be here today. However, she did get interviewed from, OCEC. She did submit her application, and she has been, someone that have come to, a lot of our meetings and presented. So since she was, unavailable to be here today, I want to have a discussion with you all to see how you all felt about, go ahead and moving her forward, to CCP to be approved, since she has been, someone has been participating in CAB and her application and information was already provided before, since she could not be here. So I don't want to make that decision myself and see how you all felt about that. She did give a reason on why she could not be here.
You guys are going to be going through.
Well, I've worked with her, she works in the community large, she's real local, and I spent.
As Brenda mentioned, we've already had the opportunity to meet with her, regarding her application and fully support it.
Do we have to vote individually, or are we going to vote them all at one time?
I think, you probably will make the decision after you.
On through each one, okay. So we're all in agreement to go ahead and move, Rolanda forward, based on her interview with OCEC. Okay. So the next individual that we have, and in our agenda guide, the application and information they submitted are in, so I'm hoping that everyone had an opportunity to actually read through it. The first person that we have is Philip, that I believe that is on Zoom, and that we start on page 15 of the agenda. And I want to open it up for CAB members. I first want to open it up with Philip to introduce himself, give any information that he feel like we should read as a board as to why he joined the CAB, or any information that he would like for us to know about him, and then open it up for committee members to ask any questions that they may have of Philip.
Hi, everyone. I'm Phil. I'm a new resident of Contra Costa County. My family and I have been here for about 6 months, but I'm a Bay Area native. I was born and raised in Oakland and spent the majority of my adult life there as well too. I have a variety of different experiences that are probably somewhat relatable to what you guys are trying to accomplish in CAB. But most specifically, I worked the majority of my career and continue to work the majority of my career in risk management and insurance, where I try my best to provide innovative and new solutions to risk management for companies. I spent my initial part of my career in the insurance world, and then I also was in the military for about 10 years, serving in a variety of different functions overseas, specifically a full year when I was deployed in Iraq as well too. And so I took that experience, went into kind of the tech space, most specifically marketplaces, and ran risk management initially for a company you guys might have known, Airbnb. And then after that, ran risk management for Uber. And in Uber, became very acutely aware of kind of how background checks works and how recidivism kind of relates to background, and worked directly with our then Attorney General, Kamala Harris, now presidential nominee, in trying to revamp some of the background checks around ride-hailing services and allowing for individuals to offer an opportunity for them to re-enter into society. Since then, I've worked and advised a bunch of different companies, and worked with a bunch of different nonprofits. One that's probably most specific to you guys is an organization out in Oakland called the Roots Health and Services. There wasn't a ton of work for me to do there, but I kind of went and pulled my bootstraps up, and I did a bunch of data entry stuff to them. But then kind of more reaffirmed my belief around reentry and recidivism issues that are kind of plaguing our society at this point. So from my perspective, I want to help. I have the ability and the time to be able to help. But I strongly do believe that innovation is something that is desperately needed in this type of world. It becomes acutely aware that we are trying to apply a very brute force methodology when it comes to reentry to a very nuanced problem. And my hope is that if I was able to join the board, is that I could potentially apply some of those thoughts and ideas and hopefully better the community of Contra Costa County, specifically those that are reentering into society from incarceration.
So, do you prefer if I call you Phil?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Phil. Sorry,
Okay.
and again, I'm trying my best to listen. So yeah.
Oh, it's okay. I wanted to, I heard you say Phil, so I just wanted to confirm if it was okay if I called you Phil.
Yep. Everybody calls me Phil.
Thank you very much. I was very impressed, especially thank you for also submitting your application to OC and your resume to OCEC. The first thing that stood out to me was your background in reference to risk management and public safety, as well as the positions that you held. So I appreciate that and the somebody just gave us of your experience and the reason why you want to join CAP. I will open the floor to committee members. We can go around the table to ask any questions that we may have. For them.
Start. Welcome, Phil. Jeff Robinson here. How did you find CAP?
So, well, I'll just kind of try and give a long answer, but try and shorten it down a little bit. Probably about a year ago, when I was in Oakland, I tried my best to reach out to the local politicians out there to try and see if I can help. I applied to I want to say about 25 different community organizations similar to this, boards and stuff along those lines. Unfortunately, Oakland was going through, they had recently been hacked through a cyber attack, and unfortunately weren't able to process my application. At that point, I kind of, my family and I kind of recognized that like maybe Oakland, it was more of a longer issue that we were going to have. And we had very young kids. And so we decided to move ourselves out to Contra Costa County to, potentially help our family. And as soon as I moved out here, I recognized that like, I want to help. So I reached out to, I believe my county rep, and asked if there was any organizations that potentially needed my help based off of my resume. They were very responsive and suggested that I suggested a few different organizations. This one speaks to me again, working in Uber. I was only there for 2 years, but it was probably some of the most hectic years in Uber. And working with district attorneys similar or attorney general similar to Kamala Harris in dealing with reentry background checks and having the ability for Uber drivers or ability for Uber to potentially work for a wide variety of the population became something that it seemed just really backwards around the way that we kind of approach it, and how we deal with reentry, and hence why I ended up interviewing at the Roots and working with the Roots Community Center. And so again, when this was offered to me, it just seemed like seemed like an obvious fit for me. I'm hoping it's an obvious fit for you guys too, but it seemed like this was something that I was really passionate about and continue to be passionate about. And unfortunately in Oakland, I just didn't have the opportunity to continue that work.
Phil, this is Brendan Lee from Leather County. I noticed you said I had a unique take on how to manage risk, with encouraging growth. How would you apply that to being a member of CAB?
Yeah, I mean, I'll explain it how I thought about it at Uber. And try and apply it to CAB. My goal around Uber, specifically like when we had background checks, it seemed like there was a fundamentally broken system where we had this product and this offering to potentially make an income. We could debate whether or not the income was worth it or anything along those lines, but it was a fundamental ability for somebody to be able to make an income. And it seemed like a perfect opportunity for people that were re-entering society. Now, granted, like, would they potentially be allowed to drive unilaterally across the board at every point within the transaction? Maybe not, but like, my goal was to potentially allow for people to re-enter into society who had obviously served their, had served their sentences. And I gave that opportunity potentially to district attorneys and also attorney generals to basically say, like, listen, we have this amazing opportunity where an individual is being tracked. They're giving 24/7 feedback. We have 24/7 support opportunities as well too. We should allow for these individuals to potentially be accustomed to that. I think the same thing should be said of in the community advisory board. I read a bunch of your documents and kind of where your guys' mission statements are. And again, these were dated back from 2018 and 2017. So I'm not sure how applicable they are to today, but it seems to me that the way that we help individuals re-enter into society, the way that we, and also prevent people from even coming into incarceration is a much more nuanced approach than kind of the hammer and nail situation that I've seen in my history, right? I've seen it very much, individuals potentially incarcerated, about to get incarcerated. There are a variety of different factors of why that individual is there. And there are a variety of different nuanced factors around what's going to incentivize that person to potentially get better or be able to have a more successful re-enter into society. And to be clear, I recognize the reoffending rate associated with reentry. And I recognize that it's a much broader problem than potentially just Contra Costa County is dealing with. But again, I would like to apply somewhat of a nuanced approach when dealing with these types of situations, trying to understand what, if you take cohorts of individuals, what's actually going to get them to have a better outcome in the end. Versus again, just a unilateral approach across the board. And I noticed you guys are doing that specifically in different communities as well too. But again, for my hope is that I'd be able to dive into the data and be able to understand that a little bit more and try and suss out what are some nuanced approaches that we can potentially take that, again, encourage somebody to not go into the incarceration system, but then more specifically, when somebody is re-entering into society, how do we best set them up for success? I recognize that that probably seems a little naive to a certain extent, considering some of the issues that are happening. But again, that would be what I would hope to approach as a board member.
Bill, this is Mark as well. I represent East County. I just am curious to hear from your perspective with what you have had the opportunity to review. What is your understanding of what the community advisory board does? And just let me lead it a little bit. We're a part of the reentry system, providing feedback to the Community Corrections Partnership Committee on a finite amount of money for a finite population. So with that being said, what's your understanding of what this body is tasked with doing?
Well, so again, reading the documents that I have yet to be at a meeting. So again, that's a little bit on me. But from what I've understood is obviously you guys are a part of the CCP. So, obviously a part of the penal system as well too. I did recognize that the vast majority of the time you guys were focused on reentry. But again, reading the documents that I saw online, it did seem like there was a goal around going further upstream as well too, to eliminate people getting incarcerated to begin with as well. Again, if that's my misunderstanding, then I do apologize for that. But yeah, it did seem as though this advisory board was geared at reentry programs and trying to see the success associated with those reentry programs, according to certain metrics as well too.
So my question was kind of similar to Mark's. I'm trying to figure out how to change it to make it make sense. But I heard you mention quite a few things. So yes, I was very curious on your take on what CAP was and really interested to figure out, Arno, to hear from you. Not sure if you're able to see the different committees that we have. I know that you looked at the website, if you were able to dive in and kind of look at some of the work from a budget standpoint, from a program standpoint on what we're doing, and curious about with your background, your experience. I know you talked about Uber. Where do you feel that your expertise will best fit within CAP? And what do you feel that you could bring to CAP, either from Alameda County or what you've learned so far for coming over to Contra Costa County?
Yeah, Listen, I haven't worked in government, and I don't, I'm not going to try and sit here and claim that I've worked in nonprofits directly, outside of volunteering for organizations directly with reentry stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I've got a wealth of experience as it relates to reentry working in the field as well too. I do listen, I'm a hungry worker. I want to help. I want to best support this organization as best as possible. I do have, I tend to believe that like organizations do well when they kind of go outside of the comfort zone associated with, the people that are in that. And so, new ideas, new feelings. I will say, that this would just be my pitch to why I think that I will be successful here is throughout my career, whether it be initially in insurance, initially in the military, or in tech as well too. I had no experience in those organizations or in those worlds before I did it, and became extremely successful in them. I feel like what I provide in these organizations is when I come into them, and that's as I relate as a board member, as an investor, and as an advisor today, is what I do is I do not have an expertise. I have a process. So my process in coming to an organization is to dive in, understand potentially what are the metrics for success? How are you guys looking for success down the road? What are the levers that you guys are pulling to potentially apply that? Meaning, what are the initiatives that you are looking at? What are the initiatives you are approving for? And how that potentially goes in there, and see if there's different ways to potentially look at it. The vast majority of the time when I'm coming into companies today, and that's what I do now as I advise and I invest in a bunch of different companies today, is I go in and I try and solve their problems through a prism that they're not necessarily looking for. So again, I wouldn't necessarily say that I have an extreme amount of experience in reentry or reentry programs or anything along those lines. I have a passion for it. I worked in it. I worked with, obviously government officials to try and change background check laws and stuff along those lines as it relates to organizations that I worked for. But again, I wouldn't necessarily say that I have a ton of experience in that, but I do think that I have an innovative approach. And again, you guys might all have an innovative approach too, but I think that taking a different approach to potentially those types of things, looking at the problems, looking at the metrics that we're trying to affect, looking at the levers that you're trying to use to impact those metrics. Again, that is my expertise, and that's how I try my best to, go into an organization and try and help out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you providing some of the robust information that you did. Really going into detail about your background. I definitely want to agree. We'll move on to the next candidate. Don't leave yet. And just to ensure you, being on the CAB, you don't have to be someone that's actually within a nonprofit or working in that particular field. But just having like you said, having innovation and thought, and wanting to help that population is really what is needed to be, part of the board. So I just wanted to piggyback off of, to make sure I didn't raise any concerns. So I do appreciate what you bring to the table. So for the sake of time, and thank you again, for the sake of time, we're going to move on to our next two candidates. And then at that point at the end, we discuss voting in and feedback for each. Okay. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
So our next candidate on the table is the next candidate next to speak, is Tracy Simpson. She is on page 19. I will also open up the floor to allow her to give a brief summary of who she is and her reason for wanting to join CAB and like her to know.
And Tracy, do you mind maybe sitting over here just so that I'm sure that the folks online can capture this? Informal energy, so my goodness, it's really okay, so my name is Tracy Simpson. I am new to Contra Costa County. I was fortunate enough to purchase a home during the pandemic. I worked for Santa Clara County. I was not able to purchase a home there, but I figured that the services that I provide to Santa Clara County, I would like to provide in my own community. So I went to the website to look at various boards and saw that this board had an opening, and I thought that it would be a
why I think that it's a good fit is because of my professional career. I work for the county of Santa Clara. And I work with our communities and we implement contract language from things that you guys come up with at this table. So the community says they come up with great ideas, and it's our responsibility in order to get the workers to implement the ideas that are created at these tables. I have been heavily involved in working with baby. I support the probation department, well, basically all of the public safety and justice departments, probation, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, pretrial, reentry, office of supportive housing for parents as well. So, my father spent over 20 years in prison. When he got out, he had some wonderful woman who helped him find housing and find a job. And he's been a trucker and makes a very good salary and has not returned to prison since then. So, I think it's very important for us to have services for people who are incarcerated in order to get them to be fully functioning citizens. And I am very invested in the people who are in my community, the services that we're all able to provide them so that they can be successful. So, yeah, that's fine. Any questions?
And just a reminder for the entire body here to please be sure to elevate your voices so that way we're able to pick it up on recording and post on Zoom as well.
I just have a comment. It sounds like you have a passion for working with the community, assisting reentry, just assisting people in need, and it's like a really great spirit.
Yeah. And I mean, outside of a comment, it's not really a question. I was already got excited when I heard Santa Clara County and the fact that you come with experience. And to be able to bring that to the table and hear the work that you're doing from other counties, I think will be a great addition to the work that we're doing. And also, you know, clapping for your father that he was able to get that particular support. So I also hear the passion and experience that you bring here. Since you work in Santa Clara County, have you had the opportunity to come see how often our meetings are? Is that something that you are able to commit to?
Yes.
I'll ask your question.
A comment. So I think you did a great job articulating your experience and why you want to be part of the community advisory board. It's an awkward situation, I feel like, for us to be in because we're all volunteers for an advisory board. And, you know, to your point, it's supposed to be an informal interview. And, you know, and the point of, and I hope he's still on, the point of my question to Bill is my main concern for anybody that would like to join the CABs, that they understand what they're potentially getting into. And I think that you've stated, you know, those reasons, and so I don't have any further questions.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said you were former president of a national public service organization. Can you speak on that, or is, you know, where you can bring it out?
I mean, I can, Delta Sigma Theta, I posted that on my.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for you on comments? All right. Well, thank you so much. And yes, you did a great summary. I hope we didn't make you nervous. Okay, moving on to our next application, which is Demetria Lawrence.
Oh my, she was behind me.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. So same routine, I'll open it up for you first, introduce yourself, and anything that you would like for us to know about you. Her application information starts on page 23. So I'll go ahead and open it up for you.
Hi, my name is Demetria Lawrence. I also go by Demi for short. I am a resident of Contra Costa County. I'm also a graduate and transfer student at Los Angeles top community college. For several years, I was a resident of Alameda County, but I've always worked in Contra Costa County. I mentioned in my application, I have over 20 years of experience working at community college in various different forms, primarily in student services. And it's very similar, everything's similar to county services, but on campus. So making sure students were connected with the financial aid resources when they started school, and I would do outreach to the community. At high school, teaching parents how to fill out the FAFSA application, breaking down it in government language, because it can be very intimidating, especially if you're a first-time generation college student. I've continued working in EOPS, which is Employee Opportunities Programs and Services, and at CSU working in competency providing wraparound support for students. I was a retention coordinator for several years, moving into student life, and that really opened up my eyes to helping students become agents of social change. So I ran the student life office at Los Angeles College for several years, and bringing in student government clubs, student government. The clubs had great leadership development skills. We encourage students to be involved in the community. And then I decided to pivot into workforce and economic development over at Contra Costa County. Contra Costa College, specifically working with adults and opportunities 18 to 26 at supporting community schools and adults at the adult schools, but also at the detention facility at West County. During that work, I was doing that work as part of the adult education block grant, but then the state and county started different programs to support formerly incarcerated students. So we have the Rising Scholars Network, which is part of the college chancellor's office. AB 109 came down, and so we were seeing college being talked about how to support students once they transition into the community. I see myself as someone who supports students and encourages you to be advocates for themselves, not only on campus, but also in the community. In community colleges, we have what's called shared governance, where our students, our faculty, our staff all provide input on the policies and procedures that happen at the campus. And I have experience being on various advisory committee boards at community colleges that I've worked with to help shape programming for students, to help shape how the college engages in the community. And so I bring that experience to the advisory board. I work well in teams because I think everyone has something that they can contribute. And I really like to amplify people's strengths in that way. I've never been to the academy, but my friend Evan Decker has been a participant on the board, and he was trying for many years to get me here. I have attended the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Planning Council when DJJ realignment was happening during the pandemic. And then I transitioned to EDC in economic workforce development, but in a different role. So I stepped away from sort of doing the reentry work. I've previously met retreats before at community college. And so the reason why I'm here is because I think it does take a village. I want my students to know about the support that the county has. I want the students that I work with to have input. I want them to share their experiences. And the reason why I love advisory boards is because they provide some oversight and some guidance from the community on how the community wants to develop programming and support. I had a village when I was in community college. I was first generation. I think I mentioned that in my application. My mother was an employee of the county, and she was able to get her job by doing a community college student. I've had family members, unfortunately, that have been in the system here in California. I have one who has successfully served a lot of time, left and doing well, and had not returned. But I have a brother who's still struggling with substance abuse and being in and out. But I know, and I've seen, he's had periods of time of being clean, living well, that he knows that support is still there for him. And so I want to make sure that our community members that get that support and are doing well continue to do well. And those that sort of struggle kind of maintain their goal know that no matter where they are, they can always come back to the issues. Help is always been a goal.
I appreciate it. I don't actually have a question because I'm actually here. So really excited to see that, you decided to now apply for a CAB. I'm actually excited for a lot of the applicants to be able to get that different site that you, right, is, to have different opinions at the table, and to bring that here, especially on the educational piece and for what is going on with scholars, it's like the centers, and as well as outside. So very excited to tie that piece to that work. So not really a question, just I know that there's a lot of passion behind you and the team and what you all do. Just my own personal experience of working with you all, so I think it'd be a great addition to see and thank you for the time. Questions, comments?
I've had the opportunity to work with you, you may not know that. Can't tell if I'm seeing her. I didn't use some referrals. Oh, okay, good. You're the woman of purpose. Yes. Hi. I've never seen her. I was like, that name's so familiar, but okay, got it. Yes. And you know what? She responds right away. She gets the job done. So I'm really excited that you got it.
Thank you.
And it's nice to meet you in person.
It's the first time we've been saw in person.
Yeah. Yes. March 3rd.
Yep.
Yes. It's weird we've seen people that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
We're spending time like online. I'm sure people. Yeah.
I always start this way and then go this way. No, any questions?
I know that you just, you did a great interview. I have your passion for the work here. I appreciate it.
No question. Thank you for submitting the application. I appreciate that you were so vulnerable when you shared.
Yes, I met you at the block party.
Yes.
And I pressed her, oh, you gotta join.
Yeah.
She said, oh, no, I put an application. I said, oh, thank you. Because seriously, you have such a well-rounded perspective on, the inside, the outside, and so that makes me feel really comfortable. And I hope that we get you on board.
And Justin, I apologize. I know I didn't see your hand raised with the other ones, but I just wanted to, okay, I'm good, okay. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you for, yes, being real on sharing, that personal information as well as sharing information about you and coming to that. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Ariana, we can please go back to, attachment number 2, page 9, which is the CAB membership outline. So before we go into voting, I just wanted to make a couple of pointers here. So we have a total of 5 seats available. Keep in mind that we did already speak with Tiffany and Alexandria, which is taking seats 8 and 9. So we have 3 seats left. And we have a total of 4 applicants. Normally in the past, what we would so what that pretty much means is that with the 4 applicants, you know how we vote. We have individuals like 2 or 3 seats. If we vote off 4, really going to the seats, and we have 1 alternate. So I want to just keep that and put that in the back of everybody's mind. Normally what we would do is look at, how the applications came in. But all of us follow Patrice's instructions on her email to go out and recruit. So, all of these individuals apply like all at the same time. And another option is we can, depending on how we vote, check in with applicants to kind of see what their preference is. That way, if they, want to take a seat or want to go into the RTM or vote as a committee on where we would like to place each individual. So we can go into, we can have a brief discussion about how we feel about all 4. We want to move forward on 4. We don't want to move forward on 4. Like, what's the feel for the vote?
Feel great about all 4. How will we decide if we had to make that decision? What would that look like?
We could either, as a committee, as we're deciding, if we all decide to move on all 4, also make a decision on if we have a feel on, we may want to be an alternate or we may want to be in a seat. If we don't, we can ask the members while they're here if they want. So let me explain what an alternate, because sometimes I forget because I've been here for years and everybody understands what that is. I can hear you next to me, Mark. So an alternate has, the only difference between an alternate and a regular seat is that an alternate does not get to vote, but they do the same work that we do. So they would come to the meetings, they would have discussion, and would still provide input, but they do not have voting rights. In the event that someone cannot come to a meeting, then they will participate as well, but they will not vote. That's pretty much the easiest way to say the difference. They still can participate in what we're discussing at, let me double check, and they still would join a subcommittee, right?
Yes.
They still would join, so they would pretty much do the same thing as we do, the only difference is they're not allowed to vote. And in the event that someone decides to step down or move, then they can move into that seat. That was a clean summary. Just my senior hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I think just a real quick comment before you all jump into conversation. I think Philip has a very diverse background that could be advantageous to our group, but he hasn't attended a CAB meeting and he already left the meeting. So just flagging that, it might be an opportunity to put him into an advisory role and allow those that have been participating and showed up in person to sit on the board, and then transition him into a full role when somebody else transitioned off. But that's just my input and excited to hear the conversation.
Thank you for the input. I can't see the whole Zoom, so I didn't, notice that. So that does like being changed. Well, let me just get the fill of the room.
Can we make a motion?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you ready to go? So what I think I'm hearing is that we would like to move forward with all 4 candidates, and move Yolanda, Tracy, and Demetra into the 3 open seats and Philip into the alternate seat. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? No.
I'd like to make the motion to move Yolanda, Tracy, and Demetra into the community advisory board voting member seats, and Philip Cardenas to be considered for an alternate.
Gary, I want to vote.
So any public comment?
Oh, any public comment? Sorry, public. Seeing none. Any public comment on Zoom? Seeing none. Okay, Gary, I'm going to take vote.
I have the motion by Marcus. Who was the second?
Great.
Moore?
Yeah. Yes, sorry.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Nicole?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
Raina Moore?
Aye.
Justin Van Zerber?
Aye.
Raina Hurley?
Aye.
Jeffrey Robinson?
Aye.
Marcus DeWall?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So congratulations.
And just so you know, I'll be reaching out to each of you with next steps.
Okay, I was just about to tell you to. Just please mark on your calendar September 20th at 10:30. All right, so moving forward. So our next, we're going to move to agenda item number 6, which is to discuss the updates on the AB 109 excess funds. The first update that we're going to have is from H3 Health Housing Homeless. And I believe we have both of our Jamies here. I'm not sure if they're both here, still both here, but.
If I may, if I could set up context before they get started. Okay, and if you go to page 32 of the agenda, you will see the CAB recommendations, funding allocations. There's been a slight change to it, but and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But we did want to provide you all with an update from H3. As you see at the very top, priority area 1 related to housing was approved. That PPC approval forward by the PPC. And so H3 has been working diligently to start the process of launching a core reentry team. This is your homes outreach team that will be specifically dedicated to serving folks who are unhoused, that are justice involved, getting them connected to COC resources and other homeless services resources. And then there were a number of different housing models that were also, those allocations for those various models were also approved. So H3 is here to kind of give you guys sort of an update on their planning process and gaining feedback from you all as they move forward on that. So, both Jamie Schechter and Jamie Jeanette are on, either one.
Thanks, Patrice, for giving that intro. I won't throw Jamie J to the wolves because this might be the first time she's hearing some of this. So it'll be me giving the presentation. And just apologies, I don't have like fancy slides or things to share, but I did want to kind of go through some of the updates that we have. As Patrice mentioned, there were a few different models that the CAB recommended for funding earlier this year, and we've been making progress on each of them. So with the street outreach, I know that our programs team led by Jenny Robbins have been in conversation to get that reentry team up and running, and I believe we've started hiring. So that is moving and grooving, and we're really excited to be able to expand core for this population. With prevention and diversion, the CAB recommended to put $1 million into these services. And again, these are services that are really meant to be flexible and to address folks' needs so that they can avoid coming into the homeless response system. So if there's someone who is exiting and you know what, they can go live with mom, but mom needs help, paying back rent, that's an opportunity to go in with prevention services to support that family to stabilize in housing. And so with that, what we recommend moving that forward is through an RFP process that H3 collaborates with DCD on. It should be launching this first week of October or so, and many folks in this meeting have actually participated in feedback sessions we've had over the summer on how to make that RFP accessible to lots of smaller providers with specific experience, culturally relevant experience, to be able to apply for funds in these various program models. So we're excited to be able to embed that into an existing process, which will hopefully streamline the ability to get that out to our providers quickly. And we're excited to be able to connect with the CAB and have you all take part in, assessing responses we receive and hearing about the kind of uptake that we get during that RFP process. The next model I'm going to be talking about is rapid rehousing. And for that, the CAB recommended $1.5 million to provide time-limited subsidy coupled with supportive services to folks in this population. And the really nice thing about this program model is that we've got providers who are already deeply experienced working with AB 109 participants and folks who are on probation. And so our proposal is to embed that into existing contracts that we have already, because during last year's RFP process, we had probation funding and probation programs already built in for rapid rehousing, and providers have already been qualified to do those services. So again, to streamline the process and make sure we can get these services out quickly, we are going to be looking at our pool of providers there to see who's got capacity and who can best utilize these funds to get rapid rehousing services out on the streets quickly. And finally, the last option we had in that list was for interim bridge housing. Initially, when we talked about bridge housing, we talked about a model that looked like standing up a motel or hotel site where folks who had a housing pathway identified could come in and create flow within our shelter systems. So that way, folks who are needing a bed kind of immediately might be in a more crisis situation, needing a higher level of services, could have better access to our shelter system. But it seems like the conversations with quarter outreach and with the teams who are involved in that, an interim housing model is a better suited to what this population really needs, that higher level of services available on site. And so one of the ways that we could tackle this is through embedding shelter beds at our existing facilities. And what that looks like is H3 coordinates contracting with our shelter operators. Some of those are run directly by H3, and we've already got existing probation AB 109 beds embedded, but some of them are provided by our community-based organizations, and we can work with them to say, let's create a set aside for folks who are in this population and basically reserve a set of beds or units at those facilities. Additionally, what we are looking at is H3 is working to expand our shelter capacity at our Brookside campus. And we're looking at doing that through modular units on the campus. So they're a little bit more private, but they have the benefit of being able to leverage all the services that are provided at the shelter. So it's a way of expanding beds and creating opportunities for folks who might have hesitancy around coming into what they perceive as like a traditional shelter model. And so that's more of a capital project that could be a good way to marry how do we bring on beds right now and also bring on beds longer term to expand the capacity to serve this group. However, if the group is really curious about that bridge housing model, that's still an option we can pursue. It couldn't be a both and situation because that would be very expensive for us. But if that is an option that still is sounding like it might be a good possibility to be reserving rooms at a more hotel kind of situation for folks who are more housing ready, so that we create that flow a little bit better, that could be something that's still on the table, but it sounds like through conversations, we're really looking more at an interim, higher level of service kind of model. Does that sound right to the group?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so those are my updates now. Are there any questions or anything that I missed that y'all are interested in learning about?
Can you go back to the rapidly housing?
Yeah.
Can you repeat that part for me?
Yeah, so with rapid rehousing, there's was recommended about $1.5 million in the CAB recommendations. And our goal is to embed those services into existing contracts that we have for people for agencies who are already providing rapid rehousing services to reentry population. So we have folks who are already working with a probation contract for rapid rehousing, and that could very easily be an opportunity to more quickly move this kind of programming along. And again, these were folks who qualified through the RFP process we had initiated last year and whose contracts were just approved by some of whose contracts were just approved by the board kind of last month, this month.
And I will just add, thank you for listening to the board, because I know that a lot of the questions, one of the concerns were, are they asking for our feedback and are they being part of it? And they have been, in fact, especially to like policy and budget and communicating about like for our forestry outreach and the building of the services for us to give some input into this. So their idea of what they come up with, which is not H3 by themselves. There has been meetings that have been held, especially like with the street outreach. There has been community partners that are currently working with the population to get their feedback. So there has been work done to bring this off. Anything else or suggestions or anything you want to go ahead?
No, I think it's great, and the update is really helpful, Jamie. I appreciate the detail. I think moving forward, we just want to continue to highlight this work and the investment that CCP ultimately decided to make in this. And as we continue the collaboration, is there a way that we could, document some of this at a high level that we could share back out as kind of a win for the group?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely. I'm happy to share the notes I kind of took before coming to this meeting. Again, apologies, I wasn't able to prepare slides or something a little bit more polished. But happy to include that so I can go into the minutes and all of that fun stuff. And H3 also reports out to like Family and Human Services and these other entities that we could definitely highlight the partnership that we've got going here. Yeah, I think, but I'm open to any other ideas that y'all might have.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you.
I would just like to highlight that I appreciate that you both can actually make it here with the things that have been taking place. So for you both to be able to sit here and still work as hard as you both have, I appreciate you.
Nicole, I don't know that anybody works as hard as you. But thank you.
I really do appreciate that update, and thank you for Justin for picking that. I will definitely, if you can provide a summary, that would be great so that the members can actually have that. Is there any questions or feedback or concerns that any of the other community members may have? And is there any questions that you may have, since I know this all, you want anything that we've done to get to this? And I'm not talking on the spot.
If you have a question,
Okay.
and probably can't be answered today, but maybe in the future, just for context, and I'll use rapid rehousing as an example. You could share with us down the road what that 1.5 million actually adds to the existing contracts. What I mean by that is the potential number of clients that can be served with the 1.5, or the number of beds that are increased because of that money.
Yeah, actually I can. That was something we built into some of the recommendations we made back in December 2023. And we project for every $1 million in rapid rehousing, we're able to serve about 40 individuals or households. And that's usually what our kind of methodology is, that about 60% of available funding is used on direct financial assistance. And that means that's about 60% of funding goes towards making security deposits or that rental subsidy. The rest of it goes towards having case management and, you know, the sort of staffing structures that are needing to be in place to stand up a program. And we expect about $13,000 to $15,000 being spent on rental subsidy per household, because the goal of rapid rehousing is to be able to taper down over the time period that folks are enrolled. So it's not, you know, we're not expecting to find $13,000, $15,000 units for, you know, a year-long lease or anything, but we are expecting to gradually be paying less and less rent while the tenant takes on more and more of that rental responsibility.
Thank you.
And as one of the takeaway items, as again, we have new members and we have quite a few that are joining. I do understand there's been quite a few work that CAB has done. We have robust information on the website, and as when I meet with you, I definitely urge you all to kind of take a look at it, and when I reach out to you one-on-one, if you can let me know if there's anything in addition that you need, I'm more than happy to go over any of the work that we've done for you. So, and try to help in any kind of way to get everybody up to speed on how do we get to this point. I don't want to come to the meetings and overwhelm everybody. So if there's ideas that you may have on, maybe I can add to the full agenda, or if I have a subcommittee meeting I can bring to help everybody feel or get them up to speed, I'm willing to do that. So just let me know how I can support or how RJ can support, and I can definitely sit with you all. For example, like she said, we did have all the programs, programs and CBOs over the past year provide, we asked them a list of questions, they provide an outline, recommendations of how they can use the money, budget, and we have agendas that are full. So just gotta find a way of how to pull that out for you all, and then at what level, what capacity do you need in order with you, or what do you need to be able to feel like you catch up? So just let me know how I can help in any kind of way, because there's a lot of information out there. I want to make sure that we give that time to members to be able to feel like they understand this.
And I'll also encourage folks to sign up for our Continuum of Care newsletter. Jamie, I don't know if you can share that with Patrice, just to share with other members, but it'll be really helpful because we'll be definitely sharing out, you know, RFP opportunities and a lot of updates through that channel, as well as, you know, always happy to be coming to these CAB meetings or any subcommittee meetings to share those updates in person.
And I'll definitely piggyback that. It can be a lot, depending on what your schedule is, even if you can't one person on Zoom. I definitely recommend for us as being part of the board to kind of expand our knowledge and really start joining other committee calls to learn a little bit. I've been joining those calls, you've been joining those calls, if you have the time, even if you can't join them all, just to learn about the RFP process. The providers, you'll be able to see the providers that they're working with. We may know a few, but not all, and all the work. So kind of open my eyes. I saw all the work that's being done within H3. And then there's other commissions and boards to join. So we have our reentry bubble and our small individuals that we work with, but it's time to kind of step out and figure out what's going on within the county because we're collaborating. So just to help us become more knowledgeable, I appreciate them coming here, but I'll definitely say I learned a lot about the processing, the scoring, who they're working with, and things that they're doing, because they are touching our population. And there are opportunities actually for our population. We just have to know what they are and what the criteria is and how to get them to be able to apply for it. So she brings up that. Any other questions from committee members or anyone within the room? Justin, any more questions? Any feedback from staff? Okay. Okay, so thank you, Jamie, both Jamies for coming today. I look forward to the report to share with the committee and the work that you all are doing, and I'm very excited for this collaboration. Not sure everyone was a long time coming, so if you see me smiling, that's why, because it's something that's been on the table for years. And to finally see this go into fruition and that it's actually coming together is amazing. So that's the history behind it, but this is a great time for CAP, and just for the reentry population, period, to be collaborating with H3 and Gibson's Point Park. So I'm very excited to have you here, and thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing that I'll add, regarding the priority areas before we move on to discussing priority areas 3 and 4. For priority area 2, the behavioral health recommendations were also moved forward and approved by the Public Protection Committee, folded into the county's budget. We will reach out to behavioral health services to see if for future meetings they can come back to provide you guys an update on where they are with launching their behavioral health mobile on demand service. This is their sort of field-based pilot that they would like to launch that would also include 3 community support workers who are able to work directly with clients out in the field to provide behavioral health services.
Any questions before I move on to the next slide? And for any context, again, related to this stuff, policy and budget agendas going back into the Senate is the work group that provides all the breakdown information for the housing, the behavioral health, all key priorities, information on how we have to do. Okay, so moving next to our update for our priorities 3 and 4, for our total general adjustment, just a quick reminder to you all. We were asked to come back from CCP to look at priority 3 and 4. Priority 3 was employment, and then priority 4 in reference to GI as well as the women's services. Asked to add additional funding to it and to analyze it and add additional funding to it and then bring that back to CCP. So policy and budget, Justin, policy and budget put together a document which you will find starting on page 28. If you haven't had a chance to kind of look through it. And I have to get used to not being chair. I'm going to pass it over to Justin. Talk about the adjustments that was done to priority 3 and 4, and to give some context around that.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole, and thank you for your work on this as well. And Jeffrey, appreciate it. Like Nicole was stating, CCP recommended that we reevaluate the investment in 3 priority areas. So the county employment pathway plan, the gender-specific care, as well as the guaranteed income allocation. So we invited stakeholders to come back and kind of dive into the details. You'll see links here. If you want to revisit those meetings, you can. But in general, really great collaboration opportunity with the Workforce Board. They have a program called CC Works, which is providing care to CalWorks recipients or employment pathways to CalWorks recipients. And so the idea here is to leverage that work to expand it to serve the AB 109 population. So given that, we augmented $500,000 of additional funds to work on that program. Similarly, the gender-specific care, I think we had 2 organizations come and present and really laid out the expansion that could happen in the county and how additional funds could be utilized. So again, similar to the employment pathway, we re-augmented $500,000 to bolster that investment. Additionally, you'll see in the narrative that we really want to call out that just because we are investing capital into a gender-specific program, gender-specific resources and allocation should be threaded through all of these priority areas and not just this one specific line item. So we really want behavioral health and housing to think about how they're adapting their processes to support different genders. And then lastly is how we come up with that $1 million is a reduction in the guaranteed income line item. So we reduced that number to $1 million, and you'll see some narrative here that supports that decision. I can open it up to questions and comments.
I do want to make a comment in reference to the guaranteed income pilot, and I'm not sure if Rachel joined or not. There was a document submitted for CAB. It was not, oh, there she is, able to make it into the agenda item. So CAB has been in part of the GI pilot. We were to work with EHSD in reference around to collect some data. There is some work that they are doing within communities. So unfortunately, we as a committee did not get that opportunity. However, we still wanted to uplift GI based on what was provided to us. I know that Rachel has to go, so we've been invited, and I'll let her explain a little bit about that so that she can leave, but we have been invited. There's a presentation that's going to be put together between EHSD and Rachel and some community members around GI, and CAB has been invited to be a part of that presentation. So I'll let her share before I dive into my feedback. So Rachel, go ahead.
Nope, I'm here. Can you hear me okay? All right. Hi. Thanks for letting me talk. So we are working with EHSD. There are several community members, myself, Mariana Moore from Shoring Opportunity, and then local organizations that are actually running pilots in the county, which include Comment Studio based in Antioch and Monument Impact based in Concord. We're working with Marla Stewart, the Director of Employment and Human Services, and her team to prepare a joint presentation to the Board of Supervisors scheduled for Tuesday, October 22nd. Initially, Marla Stewart and her team were going to present on guaranteed income. They are now, and I think I said this a few weeks ago at a different meeting, they have now directed that portion to the community partners. As part of that presentation for the agenda packet, I'm preparing a written report that does a deep dive into guaranteed income as concept and practice and shares the research findings across a lot of different pilots in the region and around the country. It also suggests 4 priority populations, one of which is the reentry population, and discusses the potential funding of $1 million from AB 109. So what I am proposing is that, if you recall, several months ago at the CCP meeting in June, Dr. Stewart had recommended that CAB be part of that planning process and part of the presentation. I would still very much like CAB to be part of our presentation to the Board of Supervisors. I think it will be a very powerful opportunity to uplift the role of economic security for our reentry population, and also to discuss why you all decided to endorse that recommendation for the pilot through the AB 109 reserves funding. I shared a memo with Patrice with some suggested talking points for that presentation, and also shared that we don't yet have the final timing for the presentation. We are slated to meet with EHSD and formalize the structure of the presentation next week. And I would invite, if CAB is willing to play a role in the presentation, I would invite CAB to join those planning meetings as well. But that is my proposal. I would also welcome, of course, CAB members to make public comment during the discussion portion of that item. So.
Thank you. And I know the document could not be, and the reason why we brought this here is I appreciate Justin wants to make sure that we talk about it as a board and not just be a policy budget decision, and kind of get your feedback on your feel as participating in this presentation, and the reason for that. So although we didn't get the data that we wanted, as a subcommittee, we thought to still move forward with GI just based on the work that we have. It'd be a great idea to get in front of the Board of Soups to still push for the GI pilot if that's something that we want to still agree on. And then also just make, I know we don't have the actual data like we do from EHSD, but just based on, for example, what has already been written and what we do have. So it's pretty much just our opportunity to be able to voice the reason why we feel like this would be a great, why we uplift GI based on what we have. And we'll have that opportunity in front of the Board of Suits to also provide information of, why we think it'll be effective, and anything else we may want them to consider. So we thought we would ask your opinion, how you all feel about that before we just took it. And some of the items that was recommended from Rachel, just to share with you all, was talking about a role of economic security and successful reentry barriers to financial security that people come home from jail experience and how it affects employment, housing, and family education. Come home from jail experience and how financial security affects their employment, housing, family reunification. Why we as CAP believe that GI can be an effective intervention and boost promote successful reintegration and decrease recidivism. What we envision as a positive outcome of increased economic security for residents, or talk about additional items that we would like the board to consider and provide direction. For me, it was more of just, and I would love your insight and your feedback. That's exactly what Justin wanted, and I'll be quiet and let him talk as well. Was pretty much just sticking to what we already wrote on why we initially moved forward. We were hoping that we were going to get deep data from EHSD to be able to be part of this pilot, this conversation. That did not happen. They're still working on things behind the scenes. So the only thing that we have is what was presented in my work. Just, is there anything you want to add? Did I recap it?
What data was asked for from them specifically?
Excellent.
From what data did you guys ask for from EHSD?
So we didn't ask for data. There was supposed to be a work group, and we assumed that we were going to be a part of that, and that work group didn't really get put together because there was other things that they were working on, not because they didn't want to work with us. There's things that they were working on behind the scenes that they're still working on. And so the outcome is, and Rachel, if I say it wrong, they're putting together with a work group. They're working with other community members that she is participating in. So now they're pulling us back in. But due to timing, we were asked to bring this information back to CCP, and we don't have any additional data. All we have is what we received from our work group. So it's not much more that we can report on, but based on what our outcome that we have from the original data that we received. And the data that we received was from individuals that have research from regards to GI from other counties, and data that was provided to us about GI, because it was pretty much new stuff. Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, and just to add, I mean, I have a lot of research and data around design and findings from different pilots that have prioritized reentry populations. There are actually two large reports coming out from the Center for Guaranteed Income Research, hopefully this month, but probably in October, from Durham's, the city of Durham's pilot and the city of Gainesville's pilot. So I'm in conversation with those people. You all had appended to a lot of agendas, different letters of support that described other pilots, as well as the presentation I gave in March. The written report that will be part of the packet for the October 22nd board workshop will be an expanded version of that, because it talks about other priority populations, such as unhoused and unstably housed individuals and families with low incomes. But it's a greatly expanded written report that talks a lot more about guaranteed income. At the same time, I would be happy to share the portion on the reentry population with whomever, if CAB does elect to participate in the presentation before the board, I would be happy to speak directly with the representative and kind of go back and forth around those findings and the data and the different structure of the programs. The one other piece I'd like to share is that on Monday, October 14th, we're actually going to have a virtual roundtable with guaranteed income pilot leaders from around the country, including Santa Clara County. One of the supervisors who's championed the reentry pilot will be presenting on their pilot. I will share that information with Patrice and Gariana, so hopefully some of you will be able to attend. It's again on Monday, October 14th from 2 to 3 p.m. We'll have representatives from Santa Clara County, City of Los Angeles, City of Cambridge, and Sonoma County. And they'll all be sharing information about the guaranteed income pilots. So I wanted to uplift that as well.
So open it up for feedback and discussion on how do the committee feel in reference to either being a part of the presentation that we're invited to, just to share pretty much what we have typed up here. If there's anything in addition, no, go back. Yariana. The section, and it's in our handouts where it says reentry focus, guaranteed income pilot. And if there's any addition we want to add or just have someone provide public comment or feel as though you do not want to be part of this presentation.
How many participants will benefit from the GI? How much would it be?
And sorry.
Oh, I recall the original proposal back in March. I originally for the 1 million to serve 50 participants. And I believe it was 800 a month, Rachel, is that correct?
Yes.
For 50 participants, which would come out to roughly just over $750 or so thousand, and the remaining 200 or so thousand dedicated to program evaluation.
And this may have already been discussed, given that I love the idea of a guaranteed income, but I'm curious about the supports that we're going to participants that receive it, like financial literacy, credit repair, things like that, to help support them with the income. Is that something that's been considered?
So, go ahead.
I don't know whether to raise my hand or not to speak. So financial coaching is often an optional part of many guaranteed income programs. And actually the research shows that when it is made optional, that most participants will take up most of those supports and services because they actually, to benefit from them. But it is not as in a true guaranteed income pilot, those cash payments are distributed to recipients without any strings attached or requirements. The emphasis is on dignity, agency, and flexibility so that they can best choose how to meet their needs. However, as I said, it is a best practice across the more than 200 pilots that have now taken place across the country in the past 6 years to attach many different supports and services and workshops, including financial literacy, financial coaching, resume building, you name it, and to connect participants in those pilots with additional resources and supports.
To add some additional content from the CAP standpoint, our initial approval was just based on what we learned about it, we thought it would be something great for that population. The next step, if it is moved forward, is to look into that. What is it going to look like? How are we going to do it? And that was going to be step 2. So our recommendation for initially at first it was a 2 million, it was 1 million, was that the information that was presented to us, we felt like a GI pilot would be beneficial for this population. Now what that's going to look like is that's what all that additional work is going to be done. And a lot of the community members and boards have the same questions that you have, which is why this work is being done with Rachel. So from a board perspective, we didn't want to take the money away. We don't want to take the 2 million, we didn't get down to 1. We wanted to leave the money allocated while they're doing that research, so that we don't have to result in money still there. So we didn't have the whole structure of it. Yeah, so that's pretty much in context where this 1 million comes from. When we first presented to you all, it was not the whole structure of it. It was just based on the road group and the data. We felt that GI would be beneficial for this population because of, and then the next part of that would be the additional research we have to actually. Rachel?
So, and just to give you all a sense of timing, Santa Clara County allocated funding, I think in May 2023. They are just now concluding the design portion of their pilot. They've taken a long time and had really intentional conversations with different community and county stakeholders, including probation, the sheriff's office, and then their lived experience advisory groups and reentry service providers. But to clarify, that money was allocated and set aside, and then they went through this intentional design process. And that is kind of the standard procedure for all of this. And there was one other piece I was going to add, but I completely lost it as I was sharing that piece about Santa Clara County. So apologies for that, but I did want to kind of just intervene to amplify Nicole's point around the structure. Oh, the other piece was that it will go to an RFP process. So that is, all of this will then be held. EHSD would be the county department that the funds would be allocated to, but then it would be put out to an RFP process for a community-based organization to implement the program.
So for the sake of time, and time share, what does everybody feel in reference to this? With being part of this. From my perspective, being invited, it just been to stay there part of the conversation. I think it's always important to have an opportunity to be involved in front of the supervisors, even if our career is as small as that. If we all truly believe as a committee that we want to keep this uplifted, for the population that we're serving, to be there and say that. We're not doing a full presentation. We're not doing 4 slides. It's just uplifting our point of view from CAP on why we want to move forward with the 1 million. We also noted in what was written out that once the EHSD report and workshop is made available, the subcommittee policy and budget recommendation coordination with EHSD to ensure every entry for the GI policy is aligned with these study findings. So there is more work to be done. We're just uplifting and giving our point on why we feel like it.
I agree on that.
Okay. Justin is, how do you feel about that? We can just use what you already have written.
Yeah, if the board's comfortable, I think that policy and subcommittee could come up with language to share.
No, so the 1 million that's allocated, within CAP's proposal, comes from 81 reserve funding. However, other community members, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, might be also looking at Measure X funding, to also support, GI as well. But however, at the, October 22nd, board supervisors meeting to workshop. So it's, a pretty robust discussion about findings, so what have you, and then from there, then we'll receive some direction from the supervisors as to what the funding aspect would possibly look like.
That's correct.
All right, so Rachel, I'm hearing that we'll get something to you. Is there a certain time frame that you need it?
Yes. So I think it would actually be really valuable if the person who was actually going to present would be able to join our planning meeting with EHSD, which is scheduled for Tuesday, the 17th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I don't know if you all do converge on who will be preparing the presentation or presenting the actual presentation. It would be helpful maybe to coordinate with me, because I'm kind of the point person for all the different people who are part of this presentation. So I did share on the memo that I think Patrice handed out to at least Justin and Nicole. I did share my email address, and I would then be happy to be in conversation with you all and share the timeline and the deadlines and the different planning meetings we're doing, so that we could all be in conversation and collaboration more efficiently.
So technically, it would usually be policy and budget and the chair of policy and budget. And then so more communication can share it with you, and then I'm here to support Justin, and then we also have Jeffrey. So the conversation will be at that particular level. So we can follow up afterwards, and they can send information over to Garyana, and then they can reach out to the policy and budget committee, and we can find some opinion.
That would be great. And like I said, the EHSD planning meeting is September 17th, and then there's one the following week on September 27th. So those are our 2 dates on the calendar, because agenda materials will be due early October, which means the final presentation structure, as well as if you all are going to use any slides, all of those will need to be in, I think, by October 7th.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you for jumping in before your meeting.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop off now. Thank you.
So, I know that
Nicole,
yes,
before you move on, we only have 5 minutes.
I know, I was just gonna say that. So, we only have 5 minutes left, so my recommendation really quickly is just to, allow OCEC to give a quick update about the ambassador meeting. We can hold off on the work plans, and then I just wanted to give 2 quick reminders. For the CCP meeting is going to be held on September 20th, at 10:30. So all new members that apply, all new members that apply to mark your calendars, because that's at the time you will be, introduced and then, approved by, CCP. And then we have the PPC. What's another one? Sorry, on to the next one, sorry, the PPC meeting on October the 7th. So I just wanted to, because it's very important, we have to get started on it, to allow, Brenda and Mark to give an update in reference to the meeting.
I'm sorry to interrupt, and before you
It's
go
okay.
on, because this is going to be for the CCP meeting next Friday, and we have to be sure to include it in the agenda packet for that respective meeting. Is it the will of this board to move forward? With
Oh, sorry.
Addendum, to your recommendations for, the 81 reserve funding? What time reserve funding?
We have to
For
vote,
priority
right?
areas 3 and
We have to
4.
vote.
You don't necessarily have to
Okay.
vote, but you just, certainly want to hear different consensus about moving forward. There'll be more discussion, obviously, at CCP.
Right.
Where they will likely ask you all questions, behind, your fleshing out those various, pilot areas for priorities 3 and 4. Want to be sure you all are okay with me. Let's hear forward.
Thank you for that reminder. Any, open up for discussion, any feedback from members, concerns, questions about, what you heard from H3 and then priorities 3 and 4, for the adjustments that we made. And you can see that in the handout, on page 28 outlines the county employment pathway. And then on the other side, it outlines, I know Justin kind of read through it, the GI, as well as the women's services. And we did make, some additional adjustments for the, amended the wording for the west to east transportation. If you want to read through that, and Patrice gave a flyer for an example of, transportation services that will be done in Sarah Clark County. They currently have, like a community success, shuttle that they use to be able to take individuals from, point A to point B, to kind of give us an idea what that looks like. Let me just ask, we're running a little bit over, is everybody okay with this discussion real quick of the ambassador, and then we can end with those 2 items right you talking. Everybody's okay with that? Because these 2 are really important. So, I know that we talked about priority 3 and 4, but I did not highlight that change. So if you could please take a look at that section at the very bottom of page 29 for the west to east county regarding transportation, see if there's any questions, and if not, are we all in agreement to move forward with this to bring it to CC? So on that back page, on page 30, we highlight some changes, the ancient care coordination team, some bullets there. The vehicle transportation for housing, so this is the amendment language. And the reason for that is when it comes to pre and post release, one of one of the key things that we've all been saying is that middle piece, that manual, right? When they lead to that next location. So being able to have a team of individuals to coordinate that from pre to post release, in quick. So. We all okay on the board, CCP, and yes. Justin, we are good to go. Mark, you okay? Okay. We are good to go. Thank you for reminding me. I heard the clock tick and I just kept going. Okay, so jumping to the ambassador meetings, I wanted to allow you all to give an update for that. And the ambassador, that is on attachment 6, page 39. The page that we're focusing on,
So at the OCEC subcommittee meeting that we had last month, one of the priorities that we had during that meeting was to come up with the assignments for this current year CAB Ambassadors Program. So for those of you that have been on CAB before, you're going to be familiar with this, to where two people are assigned to meet with either the CCP or the Board of Supervisors or their staff. And so Brenda and I put together a draft of assignments for this year's ambassadors program. Due to vacancies and people that are no longer on CAB, we were, have a smaller group full of CAB members to choose from. It'll be helpful, if the CCP does approve those that apply to be part of the CAB. But as it stands now, we felt the urgency to make some assignments based on the need to get moving and get the work done as far as reaching out to the respective CCP members and the Board of Supervisors. And so it's, I think, very self-explanatory. Has a CAB member on the left column, and then you can see the different entities that need to be met with. And if it says first, then you're basically the lead for that meeting. And the second is a person that will be there with you during that presentation. And so we try to be fair, and we gave the same amount of assignments to everybody across the board. Some people may have more as far as being designated as first than second, but we try to do this as fair.
so good. We don't have that. So the one that we have in ours is different. Yeah. So almost. Yeah, that's what we're on.
Page 57.
You should be looking at the last page in your pack. It should be page 57 in the packet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, we want to.
And it's also on the screen too.
Just a draft, okay, I mean, we just moved around, so if you need to make changes, we need to discuss it, but I mean, we were just guessing, but we weren't quite sure. We didn't want to overload anybody, and we didn't want to ignore anyone, but we also realized that we have so many gaps. So that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to make sure we covered all of our bases.
And yes, and thank you for that, Brendan. To the degree that we could, we looked at the prior assignments, and if somebody had already done one or was first or second, we tried to, for continuity, have them first or second for that respective CCP member or board supervisor.
And for any new members that, go ahead, Justin.
Oh, I think this looks great. The only thing I would flag is that Jeffrey and I are on the same subcommittee, so we can't do a meeting together. So Bridges would not work, or Burgess. Sorry if I said the name wrong.
Well,
I will say that depending on the timing of that scheduled meeting, if any of the newly appointed, members wish to join policy and budget, that then changes your, threshold of quorum, and you can possibly still maintain that, grouping for that service. So that's up to all the new members.
And we'll be able to adjust this, right? depending
Yeah,
on what-
yeah.
So I was gonna add, I know that we have quite a few new members, and thank you, Justin, for work. Thank you, Mark, for bringing. I'm willing to put together the talking points. Crawford was so great in reference to putting together a talking point document that helped me with my very first one, and that's kind of like in the Bible for us. It's already written. So it helps you kind of just talk through everything. The other good thing is they don't have to be in person. So there's some people that do them on Zoom and there's some on person. So in a nutshell, it's just pretty much you and your individual working together to kind of figure out what dates work, reaching out to these particular sites and scheduling an in-person or a virtual meeting. And I'm hoping the talking points help, so I can give it over to you guys and then let me know what you need my help with, but I still have I can give you what Crawford left me. So there was like an outline that our previous chair typed out that was helpful for the individual. And if there's any members that need that additional coaching, you can definitely reach out.
And Marcus, if you need ORJ support, you can help with the editing and talk, that's happy to do that.
And just as a suggestion, I think Brenda and I talked about this at the CPC. I think because of the sake of time, that it would be important to prioritize some of these ambassador meetings to happen sooner rather than later for some. And specifically, I would say for the chair of the CCP, I think it's important for the chief probation officer to have an understanding of what the community advisory board is doing. And I don't know how it works in Contra Costa County, but I think Teresa made reference to, I think, the PPC. Is there a board member that's a chair of that?
Is there a CCP board member that's the chair of the PPC?
No, who's the chair of that committee for the county?
So the Health Protections Committee is a standing committee of the board of supervisors. So our two supervisor reps on that is Supervisor Joya and Glover. And I can't recall which one is chair at the moment.
So not that it doesn't matter, but I think that we should prioritize having those two meetings occur, sooner rather than later, as far as whoever is designated to meet with those two board of supervisors. I think it's important because of the work that the CAB does to have them aware of basically what's going on with the CAB, what the priorities are, and what the recommendations that may be coming for the CCP and the PPC as well.
I'm okay with but what's the deadline you need for us to have our meeting set? I throw a curveball in there. I had to make sure you look. I believe we have to have this in by
Yeah, it's gonna be a tight deadline.
Yeah.
And I know you guys didn't get a chance to talk about your goals for the rest of the year, because typically the ambassador meetings are happening mostly in August and September to tee up for the budget discussions that take place at the CCP level in November. And so, we're a little bit behind schedule. However, you all have already been doing so much work around the one-time 15 million. That's been allocated out of the reserve funding. You will hear from the CAO's office at the CCP next Friday of some financial reporting related to AB 109 spending of the prior fiscal year and what they are projecting for this upcoming fiscal year. That all can give you a sense of what potentially your discussion points will be around funding specifically. But you may have just bigger concepts or ideas that you just want to share and engage in conversation that may not necessarily need to be grounded around funding at this moment, but at least it's just a sharing out of values and interests that you may have and where there may be alignment with the respective members. So you can, I would say after Friday, you'll get a better sense of where the direction is going in terms of funding wise, and then you can decide how you would want to go about what the discussion points would be for your meeting.
Okay. And then what I'll do for the talking point, I will adjust it because the old one that we have is from other recommendations, so I'll add it there, I think, access. So, and then I'll give it to you, you guys can adjust it however you want, because it's an older version, so.
And if I can make a suggestion, that might be an opportunity for CAB to give a very personal thank you, you know, to the leadership, because both between CCP and the board of supervisors, they were totally open to you all's feedback. They essentially gave you guys the runway, if you will, to formulate some ideas around this funding. So I think that could be a really important talking point to share with them.
Questions? Okay, we are a couple of minutes over, so everything else we can pretty much, if you guys don't mind, hold off until the next meeting. Is there anything that staff need to add before I talk about next steps in the journey?
Only thing I'll say is that we will send out, and we'll also include the approved CAB applicants, the Zoom link to the CCP meeting for next Friday. So if you're not able to come in person, we'll be in this room. If you're not able to come in person, you're certainly welcome to join the Zoom.
Right, moving on to the next steps really quickly. Ariana, if you wanna go through those?
Yeah, I don't have a ton, so if there's something that I missed, please let me know. But those who are preparing presentation and coordinating with Rachel Rosecon for the GI presentation, make sure you have that by October 7th. We're going to discuss CAB priorities and goals and review CAB subcommittee work plans. Nicole is going to draft talking points for the ambassadors meetings. With Justin's call out, I also noticed that a few that Marcus and Brenda and also Raina and Raina are also in a few ambassador meetings together. So I'm going to have to revise that and I'll send that back out to the committees so you guys can get started with that. And then that's all I had. Did I miss anything?
Nope, I think that's it. What was that last thing you said about Nicole and the work plan?
We're going to discuss Nicole's going to draft talking points for the ambassador meeting.
Okay, I was like, work plan. Okay, yeah, I would get on that. Okay, so that is all that I have. So we will go ahead and adjourn to the next CAB general meeting, October 10th at 10 a.m. And again, congratulations to all of our new.
Bye, guys.
Anybody in here that wants to hear that? Yeah,